Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV on our YouTube channel now. I'm Sonal Mehrotra Kapoor and we are back in the newsroom now for the latest. Now, yesterday is a report that we brought to you and the broadcast was from the JNU campus, and such an overwhelming response that video has got from all of you. So thanks for that. Keep tuned to our YouTube channel. Subscribe to it for all the latest as well. Now, in the today's top stories segment, not a surprise at all that all of you want to know more about what happened at JNU, and clearly what we've seen there, what I have seen there in the past 24 hours is not going to leave me for quite some time. The kind of vandalism we've seen, the kind of injuries we've seen, and it's not just physical injuries. JNU and how students there are scarred is going to be something that is going to be on our minds and in our hearts for quite some time. And their students yesterday, if I could just sum up yesterday's episode for you, really, it was not just those who had physical injuries, those who were even scared and inside their rooms. Many of whom, when they saw their loved ones, they broke down in tears. They were really shell-shocked. Many of them, that's the reason why they've packed up their bags and they have gone back home. That's the kind of atmosphere of fear and which has now surrounded the campus. And it's not JNU alone, it is Jamia. And that is the troubling part. One of the reasons why students across the country have now galvanized on this movement. We're talking about today's development. 83% of you have talked about the JNU mob attack and no arrests that have taken place there despite 2 days. And that, of course, is the top story. 83%, that's quite a number over there. So let's talk about the JNU violence. It's, of course, the top story right here as well. Just a big, quick news flash that's coming in. One of the JNU professors, C.P. Chandrasekhar, he has quit a government panel which he was part of to review the economic data, and saying that he's concerned about the situation at the university, does not agree with the silence of the government or the conduct of Delhi police, and also the Vice Chancellor, which has come under serious questions now. Vice Chancellor's role, the role of Delhi police, did they aid, assist, are they sitting silently on it, and how are they going to investigate this moving forward? And the investigation bit is what we'll discuss in today's episode. All right. So the latest update that we have this morning is the fact that there are at the moment 3 FIRs that have been registered in the JNU episode case. One is for the main violence that took place on the 5th evening, that Sunday evening, in which around 40 people were injured. These were the visuals seen back then of the JNSU president. And the other 2 FIRs are for the violence and vandalism on the day before that. That's the 4th. And in those FIRs, this girl that you see over here, she's become the poster girl and the name for the violence. She's become the face of the JNU attack. Aishe Ghosh, the president of JNU Student Union, she has been named. The FIR on the 4th is against her because, and this is the FIR filed by the JNU administration, and they say she is responsible for vandalism in the server room and will now be facing an inquiry, will now be facing a case against her. Let's talk about, so today I thought let's talk about both these FIRs, both these episodes, and try to understand how it's going to look like for the government and for the Delhi police if you keep both these in like a parallel shot, and then you see how they are placed. Let's talk about FIR number 1, which is from the 4th, which is about vandalism. Now, through the day yesterday, we kept bringing you reports also and the side of the story that the ABVP has been talking about. ABVP continued to say that on Friday, on Saturday, there was vandalism, there was heckling, etc. There was violence that was reported. 7 of their own people have been injured, some with fractured hands, etc. And they say it was done by the left students, led by Aishe Ghosh. And she went inside the server room and stopped any of the registration process in an attempt to stop any of the registration process. And this is the reason, and this proves that they started the violence. Now, the backdrop to all of this is that JNU, remember, has been fighting a protest and they've been striking for the past 70 days against the fee hike. Yesterday was supposed to be the first day of the new semester. And had the registrations taken place, which the student body was opposed to, it would have legitimized in a way the new fee hike. Since they did not want the new fee hike to be legitimized, they said no registration take place. The student body boycotted it. They sat outside the schools and the library and several other places and said, we will not let this happen. This led to a scuffle. All this is the version of the ABVP. This led to a scuffle, led to some exchanging of blows in which the left unit, led by Aishe Ghosh, attacked ABVP. And it is that which is now part of the FIR. Interesting bit. Number one here is that this FIR has not been filed by ABVP, but filed by the JNU administration. That means the VC complained to the Delhi police and said there is vandalism taking place in my campus. Please come and take action against these people. And he's named this girl along with several others of the student body and also the left parties. This FIR is now registered and the police is probing. Names mentioned, reasons mentioned, and the FIR is filed by the JNU administration. This happens on Saturday. Cut to Sunday, the 5th, which is where the main violence took place, when we saw mob of men and women, violent men and women, aggressive men and women with their faces masked, who went inside and went on a rampage, beating up anybody and everybody. That FIR, only one FIR has been registered, and that does not name anyone. No detentions have taken place. No parties have been taken into account as well. And in that, the JNU administration has no role to play. That is an FIR that has gone to them as a collective one. Several complaints are filed. They compiled all of it and they filed one FIR. Now, questions are being raised, of course, on which way the Delhi police will be looking in all of this. Questions have been raised on why no arrests have taken place for the violence on the 5th of January, on the evening on Sunday, when there is a clear string of videos where people are identified, people are named. Lots of eyewitness accounts in the media, in the press, on social media, everywhere it's available, but no action yet, despite the case being with the very competent crime branch of Delhi police. There are no still answers on what happened, who was responsible for switching off the street lights, who was responsible for first bringing in that mob, clearly not students they were, and taking them out, escorting them out as well. Thirdly, no answers on why the VC, who very proactively took action against the left parties and the student union body for creating vandalism in the server room on Saturday, has not even stepped out to just sit down with the students and his own students and faculty who have been injured. The VC, who is supposed to be the custodian, the guardian for all the students in the campus, for all the faculty in the campus, he hasn't stepped out to ask them what went wrong. And it is the delay of calling in of the police, which also comes, the buck there also stops with the VC. The Delhi police has said very clearly, we were the ones who went to the VC and asked him to give us permission to enter campus because of the violence that was taking place inside. The VC did not call the police. So here, I'm putting out for you two FIRs, two narratives, two realities which seem to exist at this point. Which way will they go? We do not know at the moment. At the moment, Delhi police is looking into the matter. However, one thing I do want to underline, which is something that I picked up from the campus yesterday, is that there is a huge amount of trust deficit between the students and with the faculty that they have with the VC. They say, and a huge amount of trust deficit with the Delhi police. They've been saying any inquiry done by the VC or any complaint being looked into or a case being filed by Delhi police does not have our trust. They in fact believe that the VC and the Delhi police were hand in glove with that mob that came in. It's a huge allegation that they are making. Several faculty members who came out to speak yesterday in one tone really came out to say that the VC must go because we have lost trust in them, and also that any inquiry or any investigation done by Delhi police will not have their support, will not have their confidence because they simply do not trust them. They believe the Delhi police stand as perpetrators themselves, and thus they have been asking for an SIT probe. SIT meaning a special investigation team which will be court monitored. The courts will supervise everything that is taking place. So in the backdrop of all of this, which way are these FIRs going to go? Which way, how will we see Delhi police respond to them? How will the arrests and detentions take place moving forward is something we're very closely watching out for. So that's the story number one of the day. The other big story is coming in from Mumbai. Remember, the big pictures and lots of pictures that we've been seeing from Mumbai have been of the Gateway of India. But this is what happened at the Gateway of India early in the morning. Let me just put that on full screen for you to get the good view. So this is what happened at Gateway of India earlier in the morning, where the police was forcibly removing all the protesters from the spot. You see that at Gateway of India. The police picked up a mic and said that, I'm sorry, we have to do so because this is simply not the place to protest. What they've done is they're saying, importantly, the Mumbai police at this point is saying that we are not detaining, we are not arresting, we are simply relocating the protesters from Gateway of India to Azad Maidan, which is an appropriate place to protest. Now, this of course is a response to the Occupy Gateway, the hashtag there that has really caught on to everybody's imagination. And why is that? Because while Delhi as a political capital on and off sees a lot of protests, Mumbai, we rarely see the citizens there come out in such huge numbers. And come out in huge numbers not for one day, not for 2 days, but sit there at the Gateway of India from Sunday night onwards, since the time they got the news of the JNU violence. Sit there on Sunday night, on Monday night, to finally be removed on Tuesday morning. And they believe that Occupy Gateway was so important. Why? Because it was apolitical. It was organic. There was no leader over there. There was no one party or person leading that protest. It was an organic movement of students and citizens of the country who came out in huge numbers and said, enough is enough, we've had it all. There was a big poster there which really caught on to everybody's imagination saying, we are the resistance. They were singing songs, they were reading out the preamble, there was poetry being read out, and all of that has been on constantly. Not over a weekend, but on working days where Mumbai showed up. And now the police saying that since this is a VIP area, this is what happened. Look at these pictures. They forcibly had to remove all these students from there and said, we are sorry, but we simply cannot allow you to sit here any longer. Now, the police, on the other hand, has said that because this protest does not have a leader, they could not negotiate with any one person or could not reason out with the protesters at large because everybody had a voice of their own. It was democracy in full play. There was no leader. There was nobody they could go to and say that, well, we're going to give you better facilities over there. Continue with your protest, just change the location because it's a VIP area. It's a sensitive zone security-wise as well. And we cannot have such huge numbers come in here, obstruct traffic and other issues in the space. And that's the reason why they had to use force. They put them all in a bus and took them to Azad Maidan. We still wait to see what is going to be the fallout of this. The protesters, on the other hand, why they were resisting was the fact that for them, Occupy Gateway had become such a symbolic gesture. Sitting in at the Gateway of India and protesting for the cause of democracy, protesting, raising their voice, standing up for the cause of students in the country, for the cause of democracy and others. And that's why they feel it is not right for the Mumbai police to have removed them in this manner. Now remember, this has come at a time when the Maharashtra government has been claiming to stand in support with them. In fact, some very strong words came from Uddhav Thackeray, the Chief Minister himself yesterday. In fact, controversial over there, where he compared what happened at JNU to 26/11 and said this will not be tolerated in Mumbai ever. So how is this being tolerated? The fact that students and protesters are being removed forcibly from Gateway of India. That's another story that's on our minds. Apart from that, protests continue in several other colleges and universities across the country. First, what happened at Jamia? Then what's happened at JNU? This has been... If Jamia united the students in the country in 2019, 2020 has woken up to a huge story now in the JNU violence, and that has galvanized the student unions and also students and universities across the country, and also civil society now stepping up, also Bollywood now stepping up. And very interesting take, if I can, I'll take another minute to talk about that. Interestingly, in Bollywood, we've had women faces, female faces speak up. People like Alia Bhatt spoke out about not staying silent anymore. Deepika Padukone saying, well, it's a great sign that the country is protesting. It shows they're not scared anymore. She spoke with NDTV. You can catch that interview on our channel as well. Apart from that, we've had Pooja Bhatt. We've had so many other people. And we've had people like Richa Chadha. And we've had so many other female actors take the lead from the Bollywood industry. And forgive me if I'm missing out on a few names over here from the Bollywood. But no, none of the top leaders instead of naming them, let me say there are a lot of other top A-listed male actors and artists who have been missing from this protest. And now questions are being raised on how their silence is also being noted. But this is, like one protester put out to me yesterday at JNU, I just want to conclude with that. This is a great time to be a woman in the country. This is a great time to be a student in the country, because times are changing and students led by women are raising their voice. That's it on today's show. We'll catch you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.